day, the judge told the 62-year-old he was unfit to live in human society.
This is the clip where Peter is being led out of the courtroom. And there's a moment here. Look, I can't watch it. Look, there. Look at his face. That's the face I used to see all the time. I can't even bear to watch this anymore. His face just changes to sheer evil. I hope that's the last time I ever have to see that again. Sorry. It's been quite hard talking with you today, reliving again and again and again the vile nature of this person's existence. I needed to get away as quickly as possible. I can't tell you how scared I was. He's a psychopath. Peter Tobin is a psychopath. Purely and simply. It makes me feel extremely lucky to be alive. It's just so cruel. It's just so cruel to do that to me. I have done nothing wrong at all. I've done nothing wrong except try to be the most perfect wife I could be to him. When I met Peter, I was 16 years old. I think I became a wild child, really, about the age of 14, when I discovered boys and alcohol. So one of the things I really enjoyed doing was getting dressed up, short skirts, lots of makeup, over the top, and going down to the local bar on a Saturday night, stay there partying and dancing till 2 o'clock in the morning. I went in one day and he was there. I just introduced myself and started talking to him.
So, you gonna buy me a drink?
Yeah, I'll buy you a drink.
And I think I was looking for someone to protect me and look after me. He must have had 18 years on me, maybe 20. I think he was 36, 37. He seemed a mature father figure that I probably were yearning for.
Here, take my jacket.
Thank you.
Peter used to make me feel very special. He used to call me little nicknames. He was calling me his darling and his pet and his and hen all the time. It didn't take me very long to really feel that I'd fallen in love with Peter.
You know what, Kathy? I think I'm falling for you.
Peter told me that if I wanted to, I could move in with him. And I was really looking forward to the adult life that he suggested we could have together.
I promise I will take care of you.
So I think from the moment I first saw him in the pub to when I moved in was probably no more than 4 or 5 weeks. The first month or 6 weeks that I was living with Peter, everything was fantastic. But it wasn't long before I realised he wasn't comfortable with me going out on my own.
What are you going up for? We're not going out tonight.
We always go out.
No.
Very quickly we weren't going back down to the pub which we had met in, and we weren't seeing the people that we used to see.
I wish you would stop trying so hard to look like trash.
My appearance gradually changed, and I hadn't even realised it was happening. Well, I'm just looking at this picture, and I barely recognise myself. I have to look twice at this picture to see that it is me. The clothing I'm wearing is a very bland, drab colour, which is not me at all. There's virtually no makeup on my face either. If I put some makeup on, you might say you look like a bit of a tart with all that on, so I didn't want to look like a tart. Pretty much unrecognisable as the person that I had been before. I think the reason that Peter wanted to control the clothes I was wearing was really because I think he was jealous of me getting any additional attention from other men. And sure enough, no one paid me any attention at all.
Now, when I say clean, I mean clean. Let's sweep, vacuum. Got that?
Vacuum?
Good. After you do that, I need my shirts pressed for tomorrow.
A typical day would be me being left a list of instructions as to what things needed to be done that day, which would include food shopping and cleaning the house.
I'll see you later.
And I would just get myself up and start progressing with my list until the end of the day when he'd come back for dinner. He would control all of the money, and I had no funds of my own. He would give me specifically an amount of money to go to the food shopping with, and when I got back from the food shop, he would go through the receipt. I remember there was a time I went to get the grocery shopping, and I saw something I wanted, might have been lipstick. When I came home, he scrutinised the receipt.
Kathy? What the hell is this?
He made me feel really awful about having bought something for myself, and made me feel so bad about that I didn't do it again.
Hey. You need to start thinking about us, and not just you. Stop being so selfish.
The first time I saw Peter angry, it was a lovely sunny day, and I asked Peter what he'd like for his dinner that night. He said pork chops. I was very excited with that because I was going to cook something that he really, really wanted for dinner. But I've never grilled chops before, so I wasn't aware of how long they actually took to cook. As they started to change colour after maybe 5 minutes, I thought that was sufficient. So I then proudly put everything onto the plate, put it in front of him, with a smile on my face, and he took one cut into the pork chop and screamed out that they were not cooked.
What is this?
They were undercooked. What am I trying to do? Am I trying to kill him?
I didn't know.
Would you eat this? Look at this. Would you eat that?
I'm sorry, I'll fix it, I promise.
You're just an idiot. That's what you are.
And before I could have a chance to say, let me take them back and cook them a little longer, the plate had been picked up and it flew past my head, smashing into the wall next to me. And I was just stunned. Absolutely stunned. I'd never seen him angry before. It came out of nowhere. After the plate hit the wall, he got up and stormed out of the room. I didn't understand what I had done so badly wrong. No more than 5 minutes later, he was back in the room again, putting his arms around me, saying it wasn't my fault, gave me a kiss and said it would never happen again. It made me question myself.
It was my fault.
And think, how can I not live up to this man's expectations? I must try harder. So that's what I did. I would regularly be called bitch or all the time. So go and get my tea, bitch. Go and get my tea. And if I didn't do it quickly, you're just a slow or just a slow bitch. No reason to speak badly to someone when you're just asking them to make a cup of tea, but he would. And I didn't really understand that because I wasn't doing anything wrong. I can recall quite clearly. He wanted some toast, so I obligingly got up and started making the toast for him. And one of the slices had burned slightly.
You expect me to eat this?
He said, you've burnt the toast, with a couple of expletives added into that. And I said, well, just calm down, I'll make some more. It's not a problem.
Not to worry, there's more coming.
What did you just say to me?
He lunged at me and grabbed me around the neck and pushed me against the wall. I can't tell you how scared I was.
You expect me to eat this?
Not to worry, there's more coming.
He lunged at me and grabbed me around the neck and pushed me against the wall in the kitchen. shouted and spat in my face almost. I was petrified. It was the ferocity of the lunge. It was very fast.
If you ever question me again, I will break you like a twig.
And then he just let me go and walked off as though nothing had happened, very calmly. My thought process was, well, if I'm better, if I work harder, if I learn from this, then it won't happen again. I really wanted to be married because I thought it was important that a child coming into the world should have married parents. There had been one or two incidents of erratic behaviour, so I thought that marriage was a good idea. I'd had a very difficult childhood. My mother died when I was only 8 years old. My grandparents had looked after me from the age of 8 to 16. Peter was going to be offering me a much brighter future than the one I'd left behind. This is the man that I married. You see, there's a smile on his face. There's no sign of malice here at all. I was happy on that day. And everything you're seeing here just looks like lovely family life. There's not any indication here of the man that he was to become at all. And here's another one with Peter looking like the doting father. He actually was very good with Daniel. There was always lots of laughter when he was with Daniel. And it was a happy time. However, everything deteriorated at quite a fast pace. He took my car keys off at one point because there was no need for me to drive. He would do the driving for me, and I became dependent on him to go anywhere. Calls to friends and family became less frequent.
Daniel's doing great. He's getting so big now.
I was only allowed to make one phone call a week to my grandparents.
Yeah.
And he would always monitor that.
Everything's great. Everything's going really well.
He'd sit right next to me so he could hear both sides of the conversation to make sure that I wasn't saying anything that he would disapprove of.
Listen, I have to run. Daniel's waiting from his lab.
I was told to wrap the call up after usually 2 or 3 minutes, so it was always very short and very sweet.
Bye.
I didn't like the way that made me feel, but these few minutes precious phone calls were all I had, and I wasn't going to do anything to upset getting those. It gradually became that he would be with me 24/7, always by my side, always monitoring me, even just to go and do the food shopping. Now, I wasn't allowed to go to the shops. I wasn't able to go for a walk or go into the back garden. If I went into the back garden at the house, he would always come with me for fear I might be talking to a neighbour over the fence. He was following me everywhere, even just putting the trash out. Before very long, my outings outside of the house were just literally once a week to get the grocery shopping in with him. The rest of the time I'd be expected to stay in the house. I did start to question whether I wanted to be in this situation any longer. But I'm a very proud person, and I really wanted to make the relationship work. I didn't want to return to my family and say I failed at this. I've had a child at a young age and now a disastrous marriage, not even 19 years old. So I didn't think of leaving. One day, as he left the house, he grabbed my car keys, which was something he'd had a habit of doing anyhow.
Honey, those are my keys.
I know.
But this time he took the front door key with him. And as he left the house, he set the key into the door and turned the lock. This was the first time he'd ever locked me into a house before. I had absolutely no idea what was going on at all. I couldn't understand why he'd locked me in the house. So the 4 walls became my prison. There was one time when Peter left the house to go out, and as he walked around the corner out of sight, up the garden path came this large man, broad, stockily built, and had a very imposing manner as he walked to the door.
I'm sorry, I can't let you in. I don't have a key.
That's all right. Peter gave me a key.
I had never seen this man before. I just assumed he was there to see Peter. So I explained that Peter was out and would be back in an hour or 2 hours. And the guy said, that's fine, I'll just wait. I said, all right then, that's okay, I'll make a cup of tea. And I sat him in the lounge. I thought nothing more of it at that point. It seemed very innocent. It's just cruel. It's just so cruel to do that to me. And I had done nothing wrong at all. Nothing. I had never seen this man before. So I explained that Peter was out and would be back in an hour or 2 hours. And the guy said, that's fine, I'll just wait. It became apparent that every time Peter went out, this man arrived. I don't even recall him having any conversation with me at all. It was just, I'm here, I'm a presence in the house, and that's the way it's going to be. He would never be sinister in any shape or form. He would literally come in, I would always offer a cup of tea. All very inane, innocent things, but actually what it was doing was keeping me under literally 24-hour surveillance now. I was a prisoner in my own home. And even if I was to get out of the house, where would I go? Where would I go? He had all the money, he had my car keys. So it would be just a pointless endeavour for me to just try and escape. He was spending more and more time out of the house in the evenings, and he was going out for longer periods of time. I couldn't understand why he needed to go out so often in the evenings, for hours and hours and hours at a time. My only thought that I came to, my conclusion, was that maybe he was having an affair. But there was no evidence of that, and I certainly was not going to ask that question. I was in bed one evening, and I heard the front doorbell go. And he answered the door, and I could hear a muffled female voice talking to him. And I didn't understand why a girl would be there. And about 20 minutes or so later, I could hear noises, which were quite clearly sex, quite aggressive sex. There was lots of screaming from the girl. I didn't really know what to do, so I got out of bed and went downstairs to investigate. I discovered Peter having sex with this lady. She was on all fours on the floor, and he was pulling at her hair very violently, and there were tears in her eyes. And he was slapping her on the backside with his hand violently. This seemed to make him smile as I walked into the room, and I remember him saying quite clearly, "This is what women do to really please their man. And you should learn from this. You sit and watch and learn from how she's doing it. Because she's good. She's better than you. She knows what to do." So I sat down and watched, as I was told to do, while he continued to abuse this lady in front of me. I was powerless to stop it. Dorian. As time went on, this became a regular event. The doorbell would be rung more often, and earlier in the evening. It seemed that now that I'd discovered what Peter was doing, he felt he now had the rights to conduct himself in this manner at any time he felt like it. So I learned not to go down to the sitting room on those occasions at all, but I could hear them crying and screaming. He was very violent with these prostitutes that came to the house. He seemed to be delighting in the pain that he was inflicting on these girls. heard someone calling out and screaming quite a lot. I went downstairs. There were tears in the girl's eyes. They looked very vicious. And he just pulled me into the room. My dressing gown and nightclothes off, put me into the same position, and continued to have sex with me, very angrily, very violently. He was saying things like, "This is what you've been missing. This is how it's going to be from now on." And I was crying. I tried to stop crying, because I thought that was just annoying him. And that didn't make any difference. And my head was hurting. And my body was hurting. It's just so cruel. It's just so cruel to do that to me. And I've done nothing wrong at all. I've done nothing wrong except try to be the most perfect wife I could be to him. And he treated me like dirt. But worse than dirt. It really was revolting. And I had done nothing wrong at all. Nothing. Sorry. I didn't know what to do. I did not know what to do. It just made me more convinced that I needed to get away as quickly as possible, because it was escalating out of control now, really out of control. I was so scared. I was so scared.
I can't do this.
You can't do what?
He said no.
Where are you gonna go?
I'll kill you first. And then I'll kill your son. Every day when something really bad happened, I thought, he can't get any worse than this. He really can't do anything worse than what he's just done to me today. And then the next day, there'd be something worse.
Are you crying again? I'm talking to you.
He was very unhappy with me, as he always was each day, calling me names, making me feel very small and very pitiful. And I just thought, do you know, I've had enough now. I really have had enough. I can't see any point in continuing this at all.
I can't do this.
You can't do what?
Divorce. It's just, it's not working, and I can't carry on anymore.
Where are you gonna go? You don't have any friends, do you? I let you leave the house. I let you go to the store. I let you do another thing. Now where are you gonna go?
I will not live like this anymore.
He had a very violent reaction. He grabbed Daniel very quickly.
You think I'm gonna let you leave with my son?
And I didn't know what was going on. I didn't understand. I'm shouting at him, what are you doing? What are you doing with Daniel? Because I've never seen him do anything towards Daniel at all before.
Please don't hurt him. Please, we'll make this work. Just don't.
He ran up to the top of the staircase. He stood on the top landing and was dangling him over the banisters at the top of the staircase. I just looked up to see my son hanging 20 foot in the air above me, with the most unpredictable person holding my son's life in his hands. A divorce, he said. No, I'll kill you first, and then I'll kill your son. You're never leaving me. I was absolutely petrified. I'm just begging Peter to just put Daniel down. Ignore my stupid suggestion. It was a crazy suggestion. Just put Daniel down and forget I ever said anything. He eventually did pull Daniel back over and dumped him on the floor and walked off. That was the turning point for me. That was it. That was the point that I knew I had to get out. I had to leave him. However I did it, I had to go. And I had to do it as quickly as possible because I didn't know how quickly his anger and frustration towards Daniel would escalate. But it seemed like an impossible task to escape from him. I was watched all the time. How could I possibly get away? afternoon, he came to me about 5 o'clock and said, I'm going out. He was rushing. And he shouted at me as he went out of the door, I'll be back in an hour and a half. And then he just went. And the door slammed behind him. And there was no lock. He didn't lock it. And I'm thinking, has he just gone out and not locked the door? So I went to the front door to check, because this must be a trick, surely. And turned the handle. And the door opened. I thought maybe he hadn't locked the door because the minder was due to come round and look after me. And so I waited. It was probably a trap. He's probably just round the corner waiting to see if I would take those tentative steps outside. And I waited probably another 5 minutes and no one turned up. And I thought, it's now. I've got to go now. So I rushed into the house, grabbed a few of Daniel's clothes.
Daniel, we have to go.
And the small pot of change that I'd managed to squirrel away, put that into my pocket.
Come on with Mum.
Put a coat onto my son.
Come on now.
And walked out the front door. As soon as I got outside, I thought, he's going to kill me, because I'm not allowed to be outside. And almost turned around to go back inside again. Almost. But I thought, no, I've got to do this for Daniel. I was convinced that the minder was going to come round the corner. Peter would come out early. One of his friends would see me and phone him and tell him that I was out. And every single time a car came round the corner, I thought, this is it, this is it. He's got me. I can't tell you how scared I was. Because I knew that the consequences of this, I knew that the consequences of this, of my actions, were, well, there could be no choice. He was going to have to kill me. That's what was going to happen to me. I just held my son and I cried really quietly and hugged him and told him I loved him. I told him, whatever happens, remember that your mummy loves you. And I was trying to do it so calmly, so that he wouldn't be scared. But I wanted him to remember that I loved him, in case I didn't make it. Sorry. I wanted him to know that his mummy loved him, in case I didn't make it. I started smiling again. Daniel was really happy. It was just a very delightful time for us both. For so many years, I was so trampled down that I'd forgotten this life existed. And I just screamed. Closed the curtains, locked the door, and stayed inside. He could have been anywhere. I've been apart from Peter for quite a number of weeks now. He would be regularly phoning me to beg my forgiveness and please can we start again and try again. So I was absolutely convinced he would never let me go. Early one morning, a phone call came through to me from the police.
Hello?
And I said, what's this about? I don't understand. And they said, Peter Tobin has raped and assaulted and left for dead 2 14-year-old girls.
No, I don't believe that.
All the assaults I'd been put through, I sort of put down to being his wife and being not a very good one. But to be told that he's raped children and left them for dead, just was a step that was so incredulous to me. It must be wrong. And I said, this must be wrong. You're wrong. And they said, no, we're not. And I just felt sick to the bottom of my stomach. One Saturday morning, about 9:30, my aunt phoned me and said, Kathy, turn on the TV, now. And I said, why? She said, just turn on the TV, get a news channel on.
This name is Peter Tobin, a known sex offender, jailed in 1994 for sexually assaulting 2 17-year-olds in Hampshire.
I put the news on, and there in front of me was a picture of Peter, and it was saying, this man is wanted for questioning about a murder of a young student.
All I could say was it was a horrific and a very, very violent attack on a young lady.
I just screamed. I let out this blood-curdling scream. I knew where he was, that the police were asking the public to keep an eye out for this man.
Mr. Tobin is considered a potential risk to members of the public. Any person who sees this man is advised not to approach him.
I'm sure this is not the end of it. He could do anything. Now that he's committed murder, you can do anything. The safe and secure life that I had built for Daniel and I suddenly came crashing down. I was absolutely convinced that he was coming after me for taking his son away from him. He could have been anywhere. He could have been around the corner. He could be tracking me down, planning and plotting for my demise. And every day from that moment on, I had to watch over my shoulder. And I was not leaving that house at all until they caught him. And I was really worried that they wouldn't catch him. And I would have to live like this forever. The police, they phoned me out of the blue.
Hello?
And said, just to let you know, before you see it on the television, the level of violence in this particular murder implies that someone of his age has not done this for the first time. This level of violence is something they see in someone that is a serial murderer. You don't just get up one day and commit a murder of that kind. You build up to it. It still was a shock the next day to turn the news on, to find the news helicopters hovering over the top of the building with an aerial shot of the forensic teams in the back garden. And then the newsreel came up to say they had in fact uncovered a body.
The body was found here, buried in the back garden of what was Peter Tobin's Margate home. She'd been bound and gagged, and her body wrapped in rubbish bags.
This photograph of Vicky Hamilton is particularly hard to see. She's a young girl in her school uniform. I can't believe that once the man that I married could have done such atrocities to anyone, really. But not to someone who's so young and vibrant. Just a child. Barely out of school. It makes me feel completely sick that, as I say, my son and myself were in a house just yards away from one of his victims. And at this point I'm thinking, it's a big garden. You know, what else are they going to find? And they were digging away when they came across another one.
Another awful discovery at 50 Irvine Drive. The Gardens has given up the second.
I was shocked and sickened because this was underneath my son's sandpit.
Neighbours had actually seen Peter Tobin digging a deep hole in the summer of 1991. Peter Tobin had said he was digging a sandpit for his son.
Peter had built the sand pit in the back garden. Daniel had a bucket and a spade, and he'd love it. So I would regularly see him sitting there and building sandcastles, thoroughly enjoying himself. And 2 girls' bodies were underneath it. I can't even put it into words. They are looking into numerous girls' disappearances that have occurred in times and in areas where he was. And they're quite convinced that as the years go on, they will find other girls that they will be linking to him.
They include at least 8 unsolved murders from 1968 onwards. All the victims were girls, the youngest aged 9.
It was suggested it could be as many as 46.
Many more families still wonder whether he killed their daughter.
So it makes me think now about the times that he used to just disappear for a few hours or sometimes even overnight without telling me where he was going or what he was doing. And it makes me wonder if he was perhaps stalking and killing other young girls. I wonder if I could have perhaps done something in my time when I was with him that would have prevented him being able to commit these murders. Should I have seen something differently at the time and been able to notify the police or something? I do feel I've missed something. But I don't know what other signs I could have looked for. I blame myself entirely. I made choices to get involved with this man. I made choices to have a child with this man, not realising who he was. I made these choices. I have worked tirelessly every minute of every day to make up to my son for the horrors that I put him through. And that's all I can do.